I'd like to call the roll of the North Little Rock Planning Commission to order, please. If you would, please turn your cell phones down to silent. And Ms. Keisha, if you would, please call the roll.
Banks.
Present.
Bleska. Here. Chambers.
Present.
Dietz. Here. Foster. Phillips.
Here.
Wallace.
Present.
White.
Here.
Chairman Clifton.
Here. Hear a motion to...
Motion to excuse the absent.
Motion made and seconded that we excuse the commissioners not present. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Under administrative, we have nothing on the agenda today. You have been submitted a copy of the minutes from our previous meetings. Are there any corrections or additions to those minutes?
Move for approval.
Motion made and seconded to be approved as submitted. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We'll move right into our design review portion of our meeting. Mr. Don Chambers is the chairman. Go right ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Design Review Committee met and considered item SD 2018-41, Silver City Courts Edition, Lot 1R, replat and site plan review of a multifamily development at the northwest corner of Helen Street and 18th Street. The applicant was present and agreed to items 1 through 12 and subsections, and with that, the Development Review Committee recommends approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to be approved as submitted. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak on that application? Any comments from any commissioners on the application? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Excuse me, Mr. Chambers. Let me break in on you. If on our public hearing, the rezone case number 2018-12, which pertains to a C3 to a C4 rezone to allow for a commercial development at 7521 Young Road, has been postponed today. If you are here on that hearing, it will not be heard today. Thank you. Excuse me, Mr. Chamber. Go right ahead.
No problem. Item B is SD 2018-43, East Broadway Commercial Edition, Lot A site plan review of a commercial addition located at 3220 East Broadway. The applicant was present, agreed to items 1 through 9 and subsections, and with that, the Development Review Committee recommends approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, the application be approved as submitted. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak on this application? Any comments from anyone, any commissioners on the application? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Item C is SD 2018-44, John L. Atkins Riverside Subdivision, Lot 1R, replat and site plan review of a commercial development located at 4262 Balcom Pike. The applicant was present and agreed to items 1 through 8 and subsections, and with that, the Development Review Committee recommends approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, this application be approved as submitted. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak on this application? Any comments from any of the commissioners? On the application, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Item D is SD 2018-45, Prim Edition, number 2, Lot A, replat and site plan review of a commercial development located at 3125 Washington Avenue. The applicant was present and agreed to items 1 through 10 and subsections, and with that, the Development Review Committee recommends approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, this application be approved as submitted. Anyone in the audience who would like to speak on this application? Any comments from the commissioners on the application? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Item E is SD 2018-46, Old Dominion Edition, Lot 1, site plan review of an industrial development located on Industry Drive. The applicant was present and agreed to items 1 through 10 and subsections. With that, Development Review Committee recommends approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, this application be approved as submitted. Any comments from anyone in the audience? Comments from any commissioners on the application? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Item F is SD 2018-47, North Shore Business Park, Lot 10, Block 8, site plan review of a commercial development located at 5100 North Shore Lane. Applicant was present, agreed to items 1 through 9 and subsections, and with that, the Development Review Committee recommends approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, this application be approved as submitted. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak on this application? Any comments from any of the commissioners? All on the application, all in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
And the last item, Mr. Chairman, item G, SD 2018-48, Love's Country Store Edition, Tract B, site plan review of truck parking for a convenience store located at 11,801 I-40. The applicant was present, agreed to items 1 through 9 in subsections, and with that, the Development Review Committee recommends approval.
Second.
Motion made and second. This application be approved as submitted. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to speak on this application? Any comments made by the commissioners? All in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, there's one more thing, which is was not in my packet here. Argenta Addition, Lot 5R, a one-time, one-year extension of a site plan review and replat of a commercial development located at northeast corner of 7th and Main Street. A one-year, one-time extension.
Yes.
Yes.
Second.
Motion made and seconded that this application be approved as well. Anyone in the audience like to speak on this application? Any comments from the commissioners?
Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Bitzer.
John, this is yours. You remind the applicant that he has to go back to the historic district to get another, one-year COA on that? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Spencer. Any other comments from the commissioners? On the application, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
That concludes the Development Review Committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Chambers. We'll move right into our public hearing. First case, first item is conditional use case number 2018-8 to allow a car lot in a C4 zone located at 1415 West 36th Street. Mr. Spencer, there has been some trouble with the applicant getting all of his notifications done. Has all that been taken care of? We have everything we need?
Correct. Everything's been done, and we have received some calls today in opposition.
Okay. Is the applicant here? Yes. Come up and give us your name, please. Okay, Mr. Jackson, and you're wanting to put a used car lot in. You have been before the Design Review Committee, and do you have a list of the conditions to be considered?
Yes, sir.
And you agree with all those?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, thank you. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak against this application? Excuse us, let someone. Do you have a spokesman for your group? I don't think there is. Okay. This is all individual landlords and homeowners. Okay. Come right ahead.
You are the designated speaker.
Got elected.
If the commission allows this, it will devalue my property, and it is also going to be a safety factor. There's a lot
I'm
of...
sorry, say again.
I feel like it would also be a safety factor. There's a lot of elementary school children lives in that addition. With a used car lot there on that corner, there's a lot of foot traffic from those kids going to that convenience store there. I just don't feel like it would be a safe thing to have in a residential neighborhood of that nature. Plus, it's going to devalue my property as well as probably all my constituents sitting in its audience. I'm
Okay.
opposed to it. Simply stated, I'm opposed to it. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chambers.
Yes, sir. One quick question. Directly across the street from you is a residence 1417.
1418.
You're at
1418.
1418. Across the street from you is 1417. Is that a residence or is that a commercial enterprise there?
That would be a residence.
It is a residence. It just happens to be on our plan, happens to be on commercial property. That's okay. I just didn't know what the use was of that land. And you're saying that's used as a residence? That would be the house
Yes,
next
I
door?
believe it is.
Okay.
To my knowledge, there is only 2 commercial buildings in that addition. The convenience store right there on the corner of 36th and MacArthur.
Okay.
And then the next building up on the same side of the street is this address right here, 1415.
Okay.
And the house or the building next door to that, I believe, is a residential house.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you, Mr. Stewart.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yes.
My name's Linda Lewis. I live at 4207 Evenfall Lane in North Little Rock. I have 5 properties within 3 blocks of this, 2 of which join a common property line. I have the gray house next door you were just referring to. Most of these houses are rental property, and I already have some problems renting in that neighborhood. It's just not what it used to be. We don't need a car lot. I'm surprised they had nerve enough to even ask for one in a residential neighborhood. The place that they want to put the car lot on the front, they wouldn't be able to get more than about 6 cars. So I think they plan on parking on the back. Well, it slopes down to my property. They have no access to the back of that property unless they go across my property, which I will not allow. This is just, I can't imagine they even suggested this. I'm definitely against it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Lewis. Mr. Chambers, excuse me,
Sean.
wait a minute, Ms. Lewis. Did you have a question for her?
I wanted to clarify something for you by asking staff a question.
Okay.
Staff, according to the guidelines, how many vehicles are going to be allowed to be sold on the property?
9?
Yeah, 9, including
Nine could be out in
employees.
front on the pavement.
Correct.
Okay.
On the whole lot.
Believe in that.
Well, that's, it's a calculation, so they can't park in the back, they can only park on pavement on the front. The second thing is that, and I'm addressing something that wasn't said here, but on Facebook, they said, doesn't staff vet any of this stuff that comes through? Well, the point is, everybody can make application. You know,
Sure.
Everybody can. So it's just due process that if you wanted to do something for your property and staff said, oh, you can't do that, you'd go to court.
I just thought it was kind of ridiculous.
I understand.
you.
I thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Is there someone else that would like to speak?
Hi, Phyllis Inglis, 1702 West 36th Street. My problem with it is where are they going to test drive these cars at? Through my neighborhood, in front of my house? We have that already. I mean, we have a huge amount of traffic with Pulaski Tech, all the other businesses on Scenic Hill and in Bellwood. They all access 36th Street up to MacArthur. We've got kids, we've got pets, we've got elderly people. We've got enough commercial things going on in our neighborhood, and it being used for a thoroughfare to MacArthur Drive. 36th Street is like the Benton Speed Bowl on Saturday night already, without the addition of 9 cars and the traffic that that's going to bring in. That's my biggest concern with it, is the safety of our neighborhood.
Okay, thank you, Ms. English. Anyone else?
I'm Janet Ward, and I live at 1806 West 36th. And I would just like to say that we've worked very hard in our blue-collar neighborhood with our landlords, our homeowners, to make this a quiet neighborhood. We've gotten speed bumps, and we've tried to police ourselves as far as keeping our yards clean. And the city's worked great with us picking up stuff. And I just don't see how a commercial lot there would benefit us. I, too, my 8-year-old grandson lives with me, and I, too, am worried about him being outside or riding a bike or anything if people are testing their cars. We have many elderly and retired people on that street that move slow and drive slow. And I just, I feel like, you know, that it will hurt all of our property values. There's plenty of places that are zoned for lots down on Lansky and Broadway and many other places pretty close that a lot could go, but that's in our, it's actually in our neighborhood. I've been there for 61 years, and when the taxidermy was there, we knew him, and it was very low traffic except deer camp time. He just had a couple of cars, and the traffic was very low because it was just a little mom and pop business, so that was a little bit different than a full-fledged car lot, but I am against it.
Okay, thank you. Up until, this is the 3rd time this has been on our agenda, and as I had spoken with Mr. Spencer, the applicant has had problems getting the notifications out, but everything seems to be in order. And I've gotten some calls on this, and I asked one of the callers today why we haven't heard from them in the 2 previous times this has been here. And their explanation was that they were waiting until it was going to be heard that they would come. So I assume by that, if they had not been organized and ready to come, that we would have seen opposition to this before it's been here today. So that's by way of an explanation of why possibly we've not seen anyone since then. Excuse me just a minute. Mr. Chambers?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I understand those conditions. I want to ask staff, if the applicant wished to withdraw their application at this time prior to us voting, could he get his application fee back so that he can go find another piece of property and all that, or is it just too late to do that?
It's too late. We've already done legal ads and invested money into it. And just a couple clarifications. This is not a rezoning, so the property is currently zoned commercial. So they're not asking for a rezoning to commercial. So the issue before you is, can they do a car lot on this property? But it is zoned commercial, and if someone is wanting to open a commercial business tomorrow on that property and it's allowed, they can do it. So it's purely, they're asking to do a car lot on this property. And then the notice issue was it wasn't done earlier, so no one really knew about it.
Okay.
So it was, now it's done properly, they were notified about it, and they're here. So
Okay,
that was the issue. But if it's not done, no one knows about it. So that's why it gets postponed, it wasn't done at that point in time
Okay.
to be proper notified.
All right, thank you, Mr. Spencer.
One more question.
Mr. Chambers?
Yes, Sean, according to my measurements and looking at the requirements under rule number 5, a 6-foot wood privacy fence shall be required when vehicle sales abuts a residential use, not zone, but use. Fences shall not extend beyond the front building line of the abutting residential use. I did not know if the applicant knew that he would need to put a 6-foot privacy fence for about 40 linear feet.
Yeah, so it,
Does it go from the back corner all the way to the front building line?
correct, it'd go from the back corner to the front building line, and he
Oh,
wouldn't
so it's
get,
more than 40 feet. It's a considerable distance. There.
correct, and he wouldn't get a zoning certificate until that was done. So it wouldn't be anything that, it's always been
I don't need to
note
make
there.
a condition that he puts that on there because it's going to be required no matter what.
It's required already.
And that would be a fence that looks like about 100 feet, 150 feet long, something like that.
Correct.
From the back corner. Got it. Okay, I didn't know if it was just the parking lot or the entire property, and you're saying it's the entire property.
It'd be, unless negotiated at the subdivision meeting or something, but
Okay.
at the way it's read right now, it'd be that whole side of the property.
Okay.
Because the back of the property is residential also, so there
Oh.
could be a residential use at the back of the property, playground, someone playing back there or something, so.
So in the event that in the event that this might pass, he would be required to put a 6-foot privacy fence from his back property line, which is, I guess, near the entertainment business, that back corner, all the way up to the front face of the porch of the residential property next door.
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. Spencer, also, sometimes, most of the time, when we get these applications like this, it's for special use, and those would go away with the discontinuation of the use of that property, but being a conditional use, if this were granted and he did not continue business there, this conditional use would stay with that car lot from now on. Is that
Correct,
correct?
yes.
Yes. Okay, Ms. Lewis, you had another question?
Well, I was just going to say the reason I didn't know anything about it until I got a letter last week.
Okay. Mr. Spencer explained that, and as I mentioned a while ago, that's what I just felt like in my own mind, that you had not organized your opposition because it was not going to be heard that day until today. Anyway, any other comments from anyone?
One last, go ahead, I'll let them go. I do have a question.
My name is J.W. Caton. I have property at 3523 Frank Street. Frank Street is the first street west of the property that we're discussing. I've had that property for about 60 years. Budget Transmission tried to go into this same property before they put the freeway entrance on it. We voted that down because we did not want commercial property in that area. It is a residential area. Back in '81, I lost my 2-year-old son because of a high-speed driver on 36th Street. They don't need traffic on that street with the residential people. You can't live safely there with the kids playing in the neighborhood. I know from experience. So I would be against this property, against any property going into that area as commercial. There's a high power line on there across this property. I'm sure the energy company has got an easement on it. There's an easement on the residential property. I just don't see a used car lot having room in there to park off the street or with property that would, traffic that it would cause. So I'm opposed against it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hayden. Mr. Chambers?
Yes, sir. Once again, it's a question for staff. Can the applicant request that this be changed to a special use? Does special use allow this use in a C4?
Correct. It's not necessarily a down zone, but it's a downgrade from conditional use. So yes, the applicant or the board could say, recommend for a
Well, we
special
can't.
use.
He would have to, right?
He would have to agree to it, but you could recommend it to him.
Okay, so just to explain to everybody, a conditional use, once granted, goes with the land. It's permanent. A special use is granted to the person using the property. When they quit using the property, it all goes back to the way it is today. So that's why we parse it, is a special use or conditional use better? In this case, a special use may be better if the applicant wants to ask for one and see if we will grant that for him. I'm merely advocating fairness to all and that everybody be voting on everything possible that you can have for your land. So that's why I'm making these overtures. So it's strictly up to the applicant whether or not he wishes to do this.
Mr. White?
Hey, Sean, how long has this property actually been commercial? Since day one, or is it just, did we change it?
Hadn't
years
researched
ago?
that, but they had talked about the taxidermy being there. I don't know if one of them would. Yeah,
20
at least
years.
20 years, yeah.
Okay. And my last comment to the commissioner is, I don't think these people care if it's conditional or special or anything. They don't want it. So I think that would be just a waste of time, in my opinion. I'm just making a comment there because I don't think that'd change my vote.
Okay, any other comments on the application? On the application, Ms. Geisha, would you please call the roll?
Banks?
Yes.
Blaska?
No.
Chambers?
Sorry? No.
Dietz? Yes. Phillips? No. Wallace? No. White?
No.
Chairman Clifton?
No. Your application did not pass, Mr. Jackson. If you want to get with Mr. Spencer, he can tell you your other options. You do have the option to take this before the city council. This is a recommendation from the planning commission to the city council that we would not recommend that a car lot be placed there. But they do have the option to go ahead and prepare an ordinance and pass that ordinance that would allow you to put it there. Mr. Spencer can explain that to you. Okay, thank you.
Call us tomorrow.
Okay, under our public comment section, anyone have anything on a public comment? Mr. Jackson.
They were saying it was a safety hazard.
I'm sorry, come to the mic, please.
They were saying it was a safety hazard because of the traffic, but it used to be a gun store, and it used to be a taxi derby, and that's causing more traffic in the car lot.
Yes, sir, we understand. If you can make those arguments to the city council, this has already been voted on here, and this recommendation will go to the city council.
All right, appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Public comment? Anyone?
Move for adjournment.
Motion made and seconded, we be adjourned. All in favor, aye. Opposed? Thank you. Thank you, folks, for coming.